Hello, everyone, and welcome to my Seeking Freedom Through Art virtual tour. My name is Maryam Ware. I am a sophomore and one of the student guides at the Mount Holyoke Art Museum. I hope you all are well and staying safe, healthy, and positive during this coronavirus quarantine. I will be highlighting 3 out of the 5 objects I chose for my tour, and I really hope that this tour will help you reflect on the theme of freedom and how artists interpret what freedom means in their art pieces. I also hope that this tour will help you reflect on what freedom means to you as well. So let's get started. So the first object on my tour is entitled Last Sky, and it's by the artist Afrouz Amigi. So this is what the sculpture looks like when you walk into the art museum and you turn to the left. This is the full scale of the sculpture. It's pretty huge. It's part of a sculpture series called Rocket Gods. The artist's name is Afrouz Amigi, and she was born in Iran and currently lives in Brooklyn, New York. She lived through the Iranian Revolution, where she witnessed a lot of persecution and bloodshed in her country. If we look a little closer here, this sculpture is made from aluminum and metal chains. And at first, you may not notice that the shapes within the sculpture are actually supposed to be shaped to look like weapons of war. So the cage-like look is based on the forms of rockets and ground-to-air missiles. This piece is supposed to show how the American economy profits off of war. The reason why I chose this piece personally for my tour is because I usually hear, we're going to war to fight for our freedom, but freedom is subjective in Amiki's eyes because the economy is benefiting from the war. And seeing the metal chains look cage-like in this sculpture evokes a feeling of being trapped, which is the opposite of freedom, in my opinion. So now we are moving to the special exhibition, Money Matters, and explore an art piece that deals with the theme of freedom in a different way. So this is the second object we'll be looking at, and it is titled Geronimos Cadillac. This is a 2019 jet print on canvas oil painted by Stan Natchez. Stan Natchez uses a historical photograph in the foreground. The man behind the wheel of the purple Cadillac is Native American Apache leader Geronimo. This image was part of a press event used during Geronimo's internment with the US government as a prisoner of war. At an Oklahoma ranch, Geronimo was the target of stereotypical jokes meant to excite the American imagination. Stan Natchez also uses a US 1899 silver certificate featuring the Lakota leader Running Antelope in the background of the piece. So this is Running Antelope right here. The portrait was inaccurate because the headdress of a different tribe was used to fit the vision for the currency. How this work helps me reflect on the theme of freedom is because this piece shows a marginalized group of people who in this image have lost the freedom to portray themselves authentically. Both Geronimo, who is dressed in a way to degrade him, and the dollar bill, which inaccurately places a headdress of a different tribe on a Lakota leader, shows how misrepresenting a group through art devalues them and lessens their power. I would like you all to think about how this work makes you reflect on the theme of freedom as well. So the third and final object contains some disturbing historical imagery. If at any point you feel uncomfortable, please feel free to step away from the tour. So this piece is titled Absolute Tyranny, and it is a silkscreen created by the artist and activist Faith Ringgold. This is a part of a series of silkscreen prints entitled Declaration of Freedom and Independence, and this is one of the 8 pieces from the series. In the left panel, a central Black soldier divides battling redcoats, which are the British soldiers, and the blue coats, which are the American soldiers, bring the often forgotten role of Black Americans during the Revolutionary War into sharp focus. On the right panel is a lynching scene. Lynching skyrocketed following emancipation, particularly in southern states where white planters sought to maintain power and control through intimidation and fear. Victims often faced dubious accusations that would trigger extra-legal violence by lynch mobs working in concert with local law enforcement. Ringgold unifies the panels using color and delicate decorative vines of wispy blue leaves framing the two violent scenes together. So these are the blue leaves in the background. Bring the two violent scenes together. And this is what Faith Ringgold had to say about this series. This series was probably the most challenging works of art I have ever created. In order to illustrate this series, I had to create a truth I could believe in. In no way could I illustrate America's Declaration of Independence, word for word, and ignore the fact that slavery in America was not seriously considered in its content. Think about this, and does the artist's words change something for you or resonate with you? I personally chose this piece because it really struck a nerve for me. This is the story of freedom and the American experience for different groups of people, and I believe it is an important story that must be shared. So this is the end of my tour. Thank you guys so much for tuning in and listening to me. I believe there is always room for more empathy when it comes to the topic of freedom. And I really hope that this tour gives you all both appreciation and a greater understanding of the artist's perspectives and perceptions of freedom. So thank you again for joining me for this virtual tour of the Mount Holyoke College Art Museum. Bye. Thank you.